Good evening. Welcome to another BookTube with the Blue Bookmark Book Club. If you're new, we'd love for you to subscribe and stick around. If you're new, my name's Megan, and I'm joined by a very special guest tonight. We have Nicole Baart, who is the author of Everything We Didn't Say, and there is a long list of things that this book has been picked for already. Book of the Month Club, FabFitFun winner pick, and it was an Amazon editor's pick, and then several anticipated lists. So thank you so much, Nicole, for joining me tonight.
Oh, Megan, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah. I see we have 6 people. Let me know who's here. Say hello. And then if you have questions, ask them throughout. So let's see. First thing, there was a lot picked to help hype up your book. How does that feel in comparison to some of the other ones? You know, really, it's got to feel really good to have so many people hyping up your book.
Yeah, it is so exciting. Like, I love writing, and the reason why I do it is to connect with readers, and the fact that this book is, being read by so many people is just really, really fun. And I 100% credit my publicist, my marketing director. They got behind this book and they really promoted it and they worked really hard for it. So everything good that happened for this book is because of them.
That's awesome. You do have a really good publisher. I've worked with them in the past on NetGalley, and they're really good publishers.
They are. Yeah, I love them. I feel really lucky to be working with them.
That's awesome. So I just finished the book a couple of days ago. And what's funny is I actually bought the book twice. Well, I didn't technically buy it twice, but I picked it up through Book of the Month. And then I listened to it through Scrib while I was reading it through my Book of the Month. So I'm obsessed with getting the audiobook and listening. I'm a firm believer that a narrator can just make or break. So I do have a question about that. From an author's point of view, how did you get your book on Scrib, and how does that kind of work?
I don't really have anything to do with it. I'm published by Atria, which is an imprint of Simon & Schuster. So they're the ones who decided to make it an audiobook. All of my books are audiobooks. And the only part that I had a role in is they sent me like 5 different narrators and asked me to just rank them. So I got to listen to different people and then decide like I like her voice best, or I think that's kind of the best fit for what I'm doing. So yeah, that was really the only input that I had in it. And I have a confession. I can't listen to my own audiobooks. I can't do it. And the woman who read it, her name escapes me right now, but she did a wonderful job. I know that she did.
It was really good.
I can't listen to it. So it's good to know that you enjoyed it.
It was good. They did a good job.
Good.
And so you live in Iowa, correct, with your family. So, and that's where your book took place. So you kind of draw inspiration from your life. How closely related are you to the environmental issues that you talked about in the book?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm passionate about the environment. I'm passionate about what's happening. I'm pretty uninformed. I'm a bit of an armchair enthusiast, I guess would be the best way to put it. So when I was in the middle of writing this book, I was on vacation with my family at, we call them the Iowa Great Lakes, Okoboji and Spirit Lake. And there's just kind of a series of lakes there that are the deepest blue water lakes in the world or something like that. And yeah, nice. It's a beautiful place. It really is. So we were on vacation and we were just walking around, like there's kind of a promenade with an amusement park and whatnot, and we saw that there was something going on. So we walked down to see what all the commotion was about, and it was an environmental fair, and they were talking about waterways in Iowa that were poisoned essentially by some farming practices that were probably unethical, and just different things that we've done to ruin our own beautiful state. And it stuck with me. Like my whole family went on to ride the Ferris wheel and I was kind of stuck back there talking to these environmentalists and trying to figure out what we can do, I guess. And I ended up writing it into my book. So I figured that was a way that I could raise attention to it. Yeah, it's the best I could do, right?
Yeah, that's great. So how did your book land on the radar of Book of the Month and them kind of pick you up and make you a choice?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't have anything to do with that either. It was all, I wish that I could, take some credit for this wonderful stuff, but it wasn't me. It was my publicist again. I'm not entirely sure what their process looks like and how they choose, but I will tell you that when I found out, I was at the pool with my kids. It was this summer, and I got this email, and I usually try to keep my phone down when I'm hanging out with my family, but I happened to pick it up and I saw this email. Your book has been chosen for Book of the Month, and I just started screaming, crying, and jumping around at the pool, and my poor family was like, "What's wrong? Are you okay? Did you get cancer?" No, I'm a Book of the Month pick. So it was just an experience I'll never forget.
That's great. And having it be such an early release too is really cool because it has such a big buzz before it comes out. It was all over Bookstagram before the book even came out. So that was pretty neat to see.
Yeah, that was really fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
And I was reading on your website that you are the co-founder of a foundation. Can you tell me a little bit about that? And I did link your link in the description box. So if anybody wants to check out her foundation, it's right there in the description box.
That's great. Yeah, we've been working in Liberia, West Africa for about 15 years now. Totally unintentionally, it just kind of happened. We stumbled into it. We have dear, dear friends there, Emmanuel and Fatu, who after the Liberian Civil War, there were just so many orphans in Monrovia, in the capital city there, and they just felt it laid on their hearts to care for them. So they picked up 35 kids quite literally off the streets and just started, they housed them in this tiny little house that's no bigger than the room that I'm sitting in right now. And we just wanted to help. So it started out as kind of a relief agency. We were trying to provide care for these kids in this, we call it a children's home now, but it has completely expanded. Like we have a 160-acre commercial farm that's up and running.
Wow.
And we have 7 different schools. We have 3 different children's homes now that have 150 kids in them, a little bit over that. We employ 100 Liberians. And then we have about 30 volunteers stateside. And our passion is to just throw gasoline on whatever fire is working over there. Like they are the leaders, they decide what happens, and we just get behind them in whatever way we can. So we've really nice. Absolutely loved it.
That's great. So as a writer, you must be a big reader.
Yeah.
So what kind of books do you like to read when you're not writing?
Yeah, you know what? I'm a super eclectic reader. I will read anything. So I like classics. So I just read The Wife Upstairs, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember who wrote it, but
Rachel Hawkins.
Thank you. It was so good. I enjoyed it so much. And it was a retelling of Jane Eyre, which I love and reread on a regular basis. So I'll read everything from the classics. I love Tessa de Ubervilles, and I love Tale of Two Cities, Dickens, Annie Dickens all the time, Jane Austen. But I love just an exciting thriller that keeps me up all night long too. So anything that's good. If you give me a good book, I'm going to read it.
That's great. When I was reading your book, I kept telling my friends, gosh, she writes so much like Megan Miranda.
Oh, good.
It could have been a book by her. Like you write so much alike, and I just loved it. It was really good.
Thank you.
So how is it writing with kids?
Yeah, really hard. Really hard. Yeah. So my career began about 15 years ago. More than that? No, 15.
Wow.
And I was writing with a toddler and an infant at that time. So I know I worked really hard to get them napping at the same time. And then they were both in bed by, 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. So when they were sleeping, that's when I wrote. And that worked for me for a really long time. But as my kids got older, now they're all in school. I think that would be amazing, that I'd have so much time to write. And I don't. It's shocking to me how many dentist appointments and orthodontist appointments and doctor appointments, and it feels like it never ends. And they always need cookies for something. And
I follow.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I follow Chandler Baker on TikTok, and she posted a video where she was trying to write, and her kid popped in, and she was like, "I swear the school day is like 20 minutes.
Yes,
like you take them, and then it's like 20 minutes later they're home."
I know. It takes some time to get in the headspace to write. It's not like I can drop them off at school and pick up a pen. It just doesn't work that way. So I do try to write in the morning. I get them off to school. I work out. I take a shower. I'm thinking the whole time. And then I try to sit down for a couple of hours. But boy, you would be shocked how often that telephone rings and they're like, "Oh, your slime fell. You need to come and pick him up. His wrist might be broken."
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you there. So when you write, do you do an outline of kind of like what you want to do before, or do you just start writing with you don't really know what's going to happen? You just try to get in your character's head?
Oh, that's a great question. I would love to be a pantser. I think people who just kind of fly by the seat of their pants and write are brilliant, and more brilliant than I am, apparently, because I've tried to do that and I can't hold the threads of it all. Like I can write a story and it'll make somewhat sense. But by the time you get to the end, I've forgotten things that I wrote, 2 months ago or whatever. So I do have to plan. I need to have a pretty significant synopsis. I go through it with my editor, with my agent, and we talk about like what works and what doesn't work. And yeah, there's still a lot of room there to do whatever I want to do. But at least I have a framework that I can work with.
That's awesome. When from start to finish, about how long does it take you when you've got the idea in your head to seeing a book on a shelf?
I say 3 years because I conceptualize. I know it sounds like a really long time. I don't write that whole time, but it's a year of conceptualization where I'm just thinking about, okay, what's my next book? And I just kind of keep it in the back of my head. And I carry these little notebooks around and I'll write stuff down. Maybe this is crazy, but I do like a Spotify playlist to help me kind of descend into the atmosphere of the book that I'm trying to create. So yeah, I'll do that kind of for a year, and then I'll sit down, I'll write the synopsis, and then I have about a year to write. And I don't necessarily even write that whole year. It's probably 6 months worth of writing, and then another 6 of just editing and massaging and getting where I want to be. And then the final year is publication. I think a lot of people probably don't know that it takes a year once you hand it into your editor before it's actually published and out on shelves for people to read. So, yeah.
So it takes a little bit, huh?
It does, yeah. But I'm always writing 3 books at a time. So I have 1 in publication, I'm writing 1, and I'm conceptualizing a 3rd.
Wow. So where do you draw your biggest inspiration?
Everywhere. I have so many ideas. I have a lot of author friends who struggle with that. And for some reason I don't. Like believe me, I have my issues. There are definitely things that I struggle with. But coming up with ideas is not one of them. I have more ideas than I could ever use. And I hope I'm writing when I'm 85 years old. Like I've got enough to keep me going till then.
That's wonderful. I saw that you dabble in some ghostwriting.
We do.
Yeah. How does that compare to with your name being on the book?
I did it quite a long time ago, and I love an adventure. Like I'll try anything once, and maybe that's not a very smart way, but I'll do it. So yeah, the opportunity arose several years ago, probably 8 now, I think, and I talked to my husband, and we were like, hey, let's go for it. Why not? We'll give it a try. So I flew to where the author was. I spent literally a couple of hours with him. And then over the course of 5 weeks, I hammered out a 75,000 word book. I wrote so fast. But yeah, they needed it. So that was the contract I signed. And it was a really interesting experience. I enjoyed it. And then I had the opportunity again a couple of years later, and it wasn't quite as exciting the second time around. And I don't know. I don't know if I would do it again. It would take a really specific situation and somebody that I really enjoy working with. And I did, by the end of it, feel like I don't know how I feel about this ethically. Like this is my work and somebody else's name is going on it. So I don't know. I wish I had a really concrete answer for you, but it was an experience.
That is interesting. Because sometimes you wonder, you read 2 books by an author and you're like, that was wrote by somebody else. Like there's no way that same author wrote those 2 books, because they don't even compare. Like their styles are different, everything. So that would be difficult to see somebody else's name on your work.
Yeah.
That would be hard. Yeah.
And I have had more opportunities to do it since then, and I have turned them down because there's just a couple things. Like I want my name on it. I want you to at the very least acknowledge, like, I didn't write this book, other women did, and I'm grateful for her help. And there are so many people who aren't willing to do that. So I was like, okay, well, you better find somebody else then.
So whenever you do that, is it like a one-time fee that they pay you, or will you get royalties for as long as that book sells?
No, no, I mean, no royalties for me. I don't know what other people do. I'm sure there's different contracts.
Gotcha. Huh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. So do they come up with the idea and they're like, this is kind of what I want the book to be, and then you take it from there?
Yeah, I don't really know. It's different
Yeah,
for everybody.
just your situation.
Yeah, for my situation, yeah, it was an idea, and then yeah, we kind of took it and ran with it. So
That's interesting.
yeah.
So aside from writing, what other hobbies do you like to do?
Oh, anything outside, get me outside
Yeah.
and give me beautiful weather. So my husband and I love hiking. We love gardening. We love to go for long walks. I read all the time, and I love to cook and bake for my family. So those are just some of the things that keep me busy. Yeah.
Well, speaking of reading, my friend Amy here asked a question. See if I can get it to pin. She said, do you have to stop reading when you're in your writing phase?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, and not for me. In fact, I keep writing because I find it inspirational. And the one thing that I do is I try not to read in my genre so that I'm not inadvertently stealing ideas from other authors. And
yeah,
I try really hard to make sure that everything is original. And yet where I get fed is through books. So if I'm not replenishing that well,
awesome.
I feel like I'm going to run dry.
I love that. So, how many kids do you have?
I have 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
My 2 are, whew, I couldn't imagine 5. But that's awesome. Are they showing interest in wanting to become authors when they grow up?
You know what? My daughter, I have 4 boys, and my poor girl is stuck in this family with boys. Even our dog is a boy.
Well, she's not spoiled at all then, huh?
Yeah, no, she's totally not my princess. No, I love her to bits. But yeah, she is actually interested in writing, and she likes to illustrate too. So she's in 8th grade right now, and she has like a whole binder of books that she has started writing and illustrating. I could totally see her doing that someday. In fact, she said to me, "Mom, I want to write a book with you." So I don't know.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
You all could write a young adult or middle grade book together.
So
that
fun.
Would be neat.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Let's see. Do we have any questions from the viewers out here? Let us know. Let's see. I'm trying to think of anything else that we were talking about earlier. We were kind of talking about FabFitFun, how the book had been picked for a FabFitFun discussion. Is that kind of along the same lines of Book of the Month? You just got an email like, hey, we're picking your book.
Yes, exactly. Got an email, you're the FabFitFun pick. But I've had so much fun with that one because Katie Kitchens, she's one of the co-founders, I think, of FabFitFun. We were able to have a couple of conversations and meet over Zoom. And I think in December, they're going to be unveiling some of the conversations that we've had. And what a honey. She's just an amazing person. And it was so much fun to meet her. And yeah, just to be a part of that
That's
community.
Really cool.
Yeah, it's a really
I really enjoy this service. In the description, there's also a link if you want to check that out to the FabFitFun website. That's a lot to say.
It is.
But yeah, the links are in the description box. You can check that out. But you're in a wonderful company with FabFitFun books because recently there's been a Lisa Joel book picked that was really good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, we have another one. Stasha wants to know, how many books have you written?
I've written 10. So my first one came out in 2007. My goal was always to be published before my 30th birthday, and I made it with like 6 weeks to spare. So that was
awesome.
Yeah, really fun. And then I had about a book a year for a while. I was really prolific, and I've kind of fallen off the wagon recently. It's taken
That'd
me
be
longer.
really hard to have that much writing. If that was all you focused on and you cut out everything, you probably could, but you need to enjoy life too. You got to have some form of balance.
Yeah, exactly.
Jessica wants to know, what writing platform do you use to write your book on?
I don't use a writing platform. I've tried them before and they don't really work for me. So I just write the book.
I guess I'm kind of out of the loop because I really don't. I thought she was going to mean like a paper, pen, or Microsoft Word, but
I guess I assume she meant like Scrivener. I think is it called
No,
Scrivener?
I know there are some things. I just don't know what they are.
Yeah. Well, if the question was the other one, I write the old-fashioned way. When I start a new book, I go to Walmart and I pick up my 5-pack of yellow legal pads. And by the time I've made it through all 5 legal pads, I about have a book. You know that's about where I have to end.
Cool.
So I write longhand to start every single day. And then once my hand starts to cramp or I get sick of it, then I take the notebook and I prop it beside my computer. And the first edit is when I type it into my computer. And then the next day I go back and I read what I've written and then I go back to the notebook again. So yeah,
That's
I'm kind
awesome.
of a dinosaur.
No, I mean, that's how Ellen Hildebrand writes. So, I mean, you're doing something right.
Oh, I didn't know
She
that.
writes with the yellow legal pads. So,
Yeah.
I mean, any hints on what your next book will be?
Oh yeah, I'd love to talk about that. I'm so excited about this book and having such a blast writing it. So it's the story of an Instagram influencer whose daughter goes missing. So yeah, it's an Instagram influencer and her daughter is 17 and she was missing. So I'm sure you guys are watching in the news, you know, what Facebook is doing and what Instagram is doing and how it's affecting our psyches and our kids and what it's, you know, how it's shaping culture right now. And
right.
I feel like social media is having this cultural moment and we're all kind of waking up to what it's doing and asking the questions like, is this ethical? Is this good for us? So I'm so excited to explore that in the concept of a novel. Yeah.
Yes. I have a story. Speaking of social media, our elf came back last night. And the first thing my kid said, he goes, take a picture and post it on Facebook. Like, he's 5. He doesn't have a Facebook.
Yeah.
But he wanted me to post that on Facebook.
I know. They pick this up and they think that it's just going to be a part of their lives. Like I don't know how old you are. I won't presume, but I did not have social media when I was in.
Right. I'm 32.
Yeah. I'm 40 or something. But yeah, I didn't grow up with this stuff. And our kids are like our 5-year-olds know what Facebook is and know what Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat are. And yeah, I'm curious to explore what it's doing to us.
Yeah. See, do you have a favorite book of the ones you've written?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, they're all kind of your babies, so it's hard to pick just one. I love this Everything We Didn't Say, the book that just came out, will always be a special book to me because it was written during the pandemic. And I don't know that I'll ever forget what it was like to try to be creative and to try to process everything that was happening. And while my kids were, at the kitchen table doing their homework, I was at the kitchen table trying to create a world,
Yeah.
And I think it'll always have a special place in my heart because of that.
Right. Do you feel compelled to write the pandemic into your books, or are you on team, like, just where we read to escape type situation?
That is a great question and such a hard one to answer. I've wrestled with that as I'm writing this new book. I'm not putting dates on it right now, and I'm not dealing with the pandemic in this book just because there are so many other things going on. And then to throw that in the mix and have people be like, oh, I was exposed. Now I have to quarantine. It's to throw the whole story off. So this time, at least, I'm not dealing with it. But I've heard that Jodi Picoult's new, is it Wish You Were Here?
Wish You Were Here. I was actually just getting ready to say, I swore that I was not going to read any books that take place in the pandemic. And then Mary Alice Monroe snuck one in on me, and I didn't realize it was fantastic. Her latest one of that series, I can't remember. But then Jodi just released hers on Tuesday, Wish You Were Here, and it's amazing. So
they're amazing, and I wish that I could do what they did. Maybe someday I will, but now is not that time.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I think I don't really want to read books that are taking, I just want to read people about have their normal life, like outside of that, because we're dealing with that crap in real life. I want to read, but then some of them sneak it in on me, but.
And there's a lot of drama surrounding that too, to mask or not, to vaccinate or not. And, there's a lot of people are upset about it. So
yeah.
Not going to go there right now.
I don't blame you one bit. Not one bit. All right. Let's see. Got a new comment here. Oh, that's a really good question. Do you have any advice you would give to aspiring authors?
Yes. I read a stat somewhere years ago. I wish that I could give credit where credit is due, but I can't because I don't remember. But the statistic said that 85% of Americans want to write a book.
Mm-hmm.
But of those 85%, less than 1% will actually do it.
Wow.
So, yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy?
That is.
So my advice, and the advice that I always give to writers, is just do it. Even if it's not good, just get it done, get to the end. And once you have that piece, you can work with it. Like, the words are down, it can be edited, it can be changed, you can hire somebody to help you out. But the fact that you've crossed the finish line and written 80 or 90,000 words, whatever it is a huge accomplishment in and of itself. And I truly believe that most of the people that get there will find a way to publish that book. But if you never finish it, it's never going to go anywhere. So, yeah.
That's
and
wonderful.
My other piece of advice is if you write 250 words a day, you will have a book written in less than a year. If you do
Really? 250 words a day? Huh.
Yep. And
breaking it down like that, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's really small. It's 250 is what, 2 paragraphs maybe?
Yeah.
So a couple paragraphs a day, by the end of the year you'll have a book. So
yeah, we always joke that I'm going to write a book, and they give me ideas, but nothing concrete yet. I think the last one we joked about was I'm a huge historical fiction reader, especially the World War II, but I also like smutty romance books. And the recent one was about a hooker is really the one who killed Hitler.
Oh, wow.
That'll be at the top of the New York Times bestseller list, huh?
Oh, I think it did sell.
That's funny. But thank you so much for joining us. And I cannot wait to get my hands on an early release of this Instagram influencer book that you're writing. So I will be on the lookout for that. And we're really thankful that you took the time to meet with us. And best of luck. And her Instagram is in the description. So if you're not already, go follow her. And we're just super thankful that you took the time to meet with me tonight. And I hope you all have a wonderful night. Oh, can I pre-order? Yeah. See, Jessica's one of them. That's always, can I pre-order your book, Megan? Yeah, go ahead and send me money, Jessica, and then I'll work on it in the next 5 years. So
I'd like to pre-order it too.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And thank you everybody who tuned in to watch. And
Thank you, Megan.
Greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah. Take care.
Bye. You too.